Welcome to the InfoWars Nightly News. It is Tuesday, June 28th, 2016, and I'm Leanne McAdoo. Here's what's coming up tonight.
Tonight, a massive terror attack at airport check-in in Turkey. Initial reports of 28 dead and over 60 wounded. Alex Jones reports what happened and analyzes what it means. Then, we look at the final report from the Congressional Committee investigating Benghazi. And Trump declares America's economic independence as he takes on the central issue of the campaign, globalism's destruction of our economy.
If we're going to deliver real change, we're going to have to reject the campaign of fear and intimidation being pursued by powerful corporations, media elites, and political dynasties. The people who rigged the system for their benefit will do anything and say anything to keep things exactly the way they are.
All that and more on tonight's InfoWars Nightly News.
Well, another terror attack has taken place in Turkey, this time at the airport in Istanbul. At least 50 people have been killed, many more wounded. 2 suicide bombings took place there at the airport. Now, this is one of the largest, the third busiest airports in Europe. It's a very high security location. So the fact that this could take place there is thoroughly unsettling. And with more commentary on that is Alex Jones.
It happened again today. The religion of peace has struck again. More than 10 dead in a bombing and mass shooting at a major airport in Turkey. And the mainstream media is reporting on this and not even calling it Islamic terror, because the president-in-chief, or I should say the jihadi-in-chief, has instructed everyone not to call it Islamic terror. There's a lot of different issues here, but first off, since when does the First Lady tell school children nationwide what they'll eat at lunch or breakfast in the school lunch program? Since when does the president tell the press and the media they can't use the word radical Islam or Islamic terror? That is so authoritarian. That is so incredibly cultic. And we have record numbers of people from Islamic nations being brought into this nation unvetted. And when they attack, whether it be San Bernardino or Major Hassan at Fort Hood, Texas, or these terrible event we saw out in Florida at the gay nightclub, it's then blamed on gun owners, or it's blamed in the case of Orlando on Donald Trump. We have seen gay black activists out on the street blaming Donald Trump when Donald Trump is on record never being someone who is, quote, against the gay community. It is Islam that fundamentally in 11 nations says they will execute anyone who's a homosexual. And my frustration on this front is I'm a libertarian. I have my personal views, but I don't try to make you follow my lifestyle or my worldview. I'm truly tolerant. But the left doesn't want me to just be tolerant. They want me to adopt all their weird, crazy garbage, like sexualizing children at age 5, teaching them Heather has 2 mommies. I don't want homosexual or heterosexual or anything sexual taught to young children. And they'll tell me, oh, I'm a homophobe or a bigot because I won't let them get involved in the raising of my children. And then they go further and say I'm Islamophobic because I point out that Orthodox Islam is radical Islam and oppresses women to a level never before seen in history. And its very system, its very dogma is one of conquest and enslavement. The African slave trade was started and run by the Arabs. It's still going on in several Middle Eastern countries today, but I get to watch the black Muslims run around and tell me how great Islam is. I'm simply here saying this. The globalists have allied with Orthodox Islam. They are using it to destabilize the world. And they use that destabilization to impoverish and enslave the West, but also impoverish and enslave the Middle East and areas of Africa that are Islamic. I know good people that are Muslims. I know that most Muslims really do want peace. The problem is you're seen as heretics by the Saudi Arabian leadership that controls modern Sunni Islamic teaching. And that is the new dominant form of Islam. So Islam's had different periods in its history. And I do want to coexist and live in peace. But coexistence doesn't mean I give up my Christian values or my libertarian values or my free market values or my values to empower and uplift women and everybody else. I'm proud of the West empowering women. I'm proud of the West empowering literature and art and culture and creating a complex, truly independent, open, free, diverse society. And I'm not going to sit here and watch the West scapegoated and blamed for what the authoritarian left and their Islamic cohorts are now engaging in. You people are the gang members. You people are the thugs. You people are the ones trying to restrict speech and ban speech on the left and in Islam. The new mayor, the Islamic mayor of London, has said, we'll just break away. We'll just ignore the voters. We'll just bring in more people. We'll just do whatever the EU says. And by the way, we're going to ban women in bathing suits in advertising. And he says it's fat shaming. No, it's Sharia law. My friends, the truth is the West has been so open, so truly liberal, that a bunch of fascists calling themselves liberals, allied with Islam, are coming in and dominating and taking control of our civilization and our society. True liberalism means that you can have your own individual ideas and that you're not going to attack other people for their views or their lifestyle as long as they're not physically attacking you. It's time for there to be a reformation in Islam, and there's time for a reform and reformation in the so-called liberals. God knows the conservatives need it as well, but you guys are in the catbird seat running the show, and you have let the power go to your heads, and you are wrecking thousands of years of progress. Just because you call yourselves progressive doesn't mean you're truly progressive for freedom and liberty and prosperity. You're progressive for tyranny, and that makes you, the establishment left and Islam, a cancer. I'm Alex Jones for INFOWARS.com and INFOWARS Nightly News. Now back to our anchors and the INFOWARS Nightly News.
Now, considering the fact that we're seeing a ramp up of these ISIS-inspired terror attacks around the world, it's very troubling to know that the FBI hasn't alerted many Americans that they were actually on an ISIS kill list. Now, this was numerous Americans, some 15,000 people, were actually placed on secret Islamic State kill lists, but they were not notified by the FBI, nor did the FBI notify the local police about the potential dangers. So these were published on encrypted websites. There were several hit lists naming more than 15,000 people that it would like to see killed by sleeper cells or lone wolves in New York, Texas, Florida, and California. In Texas alone, Circa identified 22 people in a sampling of 24 names who did not receive any notification that they were on ISIS's list, in ISIS's crosshairs, and it also identified 2 local police departments whose citizens were on this list. They also got no alert from the FBI. Now, maybe you could say, yeah, well, they didn't want to terrify these people or frighten them. No, but that is ridiculous. A lot of these people were military families. You would want to alert them so that they could take the necessary precautions, that even with arming themselves and making sure their families were well prepared, making sure they weren't posting anything on social media or making sure that there wasn't any identifying information out there about where they live or where they're hanging out, something to prepare these people, to let them know that for whatever reason, their names are appearing on these lists. But we're seeing that again and again to sort of steer people away from the thought that terrorism exists, that it's out there, because they want to push this narrative that Obama has just really done a stellar job at stopping the JV team. ISIS is under control. And actually, we've seen that same narrative being pushed with the Benghazi attack. The 800-page file has been released today on this from the Benghazi Select Committee. And you'll see that as this attack was taking place, they were already working out how to spin the story, to take it away from terrorism and to make it save face politically for the Obama administration while endangering Americans. And they're doing that here again. So is this who we really want running the country at this critical juncture in our history? Absolutely not. Not someone who would spin away terrorism in order to save face politically while endangering the lives of Americans. And that's why they just hate Donald Trump, because he's coming out and saying that. And in fact, he's going on to criticize the TPP, which Hillary Clinton and Obama played a major role in. He's saying this globalization and free trade are absolutely job killers. We're going to talk about that coming up. But he points out how globalization has made the financial elite who donate to politicians very, very wealthy, but it hasn't done very much for the rest of America. Now, Obama came out very snarkily and saying, well, Trump embodies the global elites. He's hardly a spokesperson for a populist surge. And on that, of course, he's correct in that Donald Trump is a billionaire. But, Obama, you were once being touted as the first black president, but you're hardly a legitimate spokesperson for that community. What have you done for the black community since you've been in office? Even we had Obama phone lady on to say, no, indeed, you didn't even give her the phone that you promised her. But this is why the globalists hate Trump, because he did come out and he said, yes, indeed, I became very wealthy here in America. America made me very rich. That's why he loves this country, and that's why he wants to make America great again. And they absolutely hate him. And indeed, on the economy, this is one of the big issues where Trump really needs to stay focused, because this is where it threatens Hillary Clinton, because we've just been in dire straits with these last two presidential runs with Obama, and we don't need a Clinton in office. A new poll that has come out is actually saying that voters feel much more confident by 5 points that Trump is actually going to be the candidate that would create more jobs. And indeed, I think people are really starting to see that worldwide, as we see with Brexit. The people there just showed tremendous bravery in choosing the unknown rather than the known to stick with globalism. They could see what's been happening with their country, how the open borders, the loss of jobs, their economy is tanking. And these people are saying enough is enough. Globalism, it's a jobs killer, and they wanted something different. Well, now because of that, and because of this populist surge that they're seeing with all these people supporting Donald Trump, we're really seeing the New World Order ramping up their plans to make this happen even quicker. We've got the EU saying they're going to create a super state in response to all of this. And now we even have the Mexican president coming out demanding that the U.S. merge with Mexico and Canada. They want the North American Union to happen. Of course, that would kill U.S. national sovereignty. A Donald Trump presidency is not going to allow that happen, at least not if we hold him to what he has promised us. But I don't want that to happen. I know there are a lot of people that are coming to this country to escape vile, horrific things that are happening in Mexico and Central America. But look at what's going on. I mean, they're out of the cartel chronicles with Breitbart. They have really graphic stories all the time. These people are so brave. They would be murdered if anyone found out who was actually supplying this information to Breitbart. But they're being very brave, using pseudonyms to put these articles out there, showing graphic images of these executions that most journalists are afraid to report about, because they don't want, first of all, they don't want the cartels coming after them. But secondly, this would totally kill open immigration and kill the fact that, we do need a border wall. And actually, our guys were visiting the border, and they just so happened to confront some illegal immigrants who were actually crossing the border right at that moment, a group of more than 20 people. And it's really bad when these border agents are willing to speak out on camera and just put it all out there so there's no confusion. Jakari Jackson spoke with the border agent Chris Cabrera. He's also the vice president of the National Border Patrol Council 3307. And he was just saying, the vast majority of illegals are released into the country, disease or no disease. Agents are still encountering tuberculosis, scabies, measles, chickenpox, and many other unidentifiable infectious diseases. And they have a yellow caution tape that ropes off, oh, you're the sick one, when they do get them in these quarantine facilities. It's a yellow tape that is separating the sick from the not sick people. So take a listen. Border agents' own voice here, trying to get this very urgent message out to America.
And as far as the people coming over, are your agents encountering any type of infectious diseases, people with illnesses as they cross the border?
Oh, most definitely. We see tuberculosis pretty regularly.